I started out as a building technologist, right? I graduated as that. But as I said in the book, it felt like marketing found me. So many of us do great work that we're not vocal about. And so nobody can pick it and say, this is great interest or this is help you chart the course, right? There's the voice that comes to say, oh, are you good enough? Should you be here? Should you even be sitting at this table? But I've developed myself to also be extremely self-aware and understand the value that I also bring to that same table. Yeah, the sky is your limit, or maybe your starting point, depending on how you see it.
Welcome to the Colorteam Podcast. Funmito, Makonju, Osho. It's a pleasure to have you here on the pod with me today. I've known Funmito for quite some time now, actually, or like a year from today. I started speaking with Funmito, and it has been a pleasure knowing you. Today, we're not going to be talking about how I've known Funmito for the longest time. Today is about the book, the marketing professional. It was amazing reading this book. I sat in Starbucks and I'm like, I'm not doing anything else today. I'm reading this book back to back, and it was the best decision I made that day. I love the book so well. Funmito, it's a pleasure to have you here on this call with us today. Today we're going to be diving into the mind of the brilliant author behind this book. And yeah, welcome to the Colorteam Podcast. How are you feeling, Funmito?
I'm feeling good. Thank you so much, Subomi, for having me here. And thank you for the kind words on reading the book and the feedback that you've given me both online here and offline. It's truly a pleasure to have poured my heart into this and hear such amazing feedback. And what more, even then, be on this podcast. So it's really, really a win for me. So thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure always. First, your book is called The Marketing Professional, but in your own words, you call yourself an accidental one, right? How does someone who never planned to be in marketing end up writing such an amazing book about marketing?
That is such an interesting question, and it's very, I don't know, it's so amazing, how things can unfold and how people's journey really come to be, right? I started out as a building technologist, right? I graduated as that, but as I said in the book, it felt like marketing found me. But the journey really, saying that like I fell into marketing accidentally and now writing a book, I think it just speaks about you appreciating the journey that you've had and understanding that every single part of that journey is leading you up to something. So I had, of course, there were one transferable skills, but there were so many things that I took along the way. I always use the scenario of you traveling somewhere. In this scenario, I didn't know that I was traveling to the land of marketing. Let's use it that way. But in my backpack, I just kept adding on things that I thought were useful for my career journey, But as I kept moving or kept packing and I started this journey, I started realizing things that I really needed to keep going. But also because I started now seeing, I got a mentor, or should I also say a sponsor in this scenario, that saw ahead and understood where I was going and started helping me shape the backpack that I was getting. It made the journey easier. So I didn't start out understanding where the destination was, but I was very curious to understand what do I need to keep getting better in my career journey. And as you keep going by and doing things diligently and faithfully, if you have the right support system, you would definitely get there. And I think that was the entire thing for me with marketing. I was doing a lot of things that now, when I think about it, it was marketing, but at the time I didn't know it was marketing. I was just being diligent and being very observant, being thoughtful, and I was very vocal about it as well. So many of us do great work that we're not vocal about, and so nobody can pick it and say this is great interest or this is help you chart the course, right? So for me, it was like I saw things that didn't look right. The branding didn't look well. The logo was used in multiple different ways. There was no alignment or consistency. And I was just speaking up, oh, it would be better if we did this. Or don't you think it would be nice if we did this? So for me, it was just suggestions here and there that someone else picked and said, you have an eye for detail. And that's truly marketing, right? The way you look at the brand, the way you look at the consistency, the way you're looking at our digital footprint, that is really marketing. And so by the time that seed was planted, I then consciously started nurturing it with every other skill that I got along the way till I eventually became head of marketing for CyberSoc Africa.
You mentioned about support system, right? As you were speaking, and I'm curious, like, what support systems did you have at every point of your career that got to where you are today, from when you were an executive assistant at CyberSoc until you got to where you are today in Google?
Thank you. Very good question as well. So there's a chapter in the book that I'd written, and I called it the 5 levels of indispensable influencers. I'll start with the first one being just your parents, the people that birthed us and brought us to life, or that believe originally in us. You have your role models, right? You have your coaches, you have your sponsors, and you have your mentors. So there are 5 different levels, and all of these different levels, they inspire but shape your life in different ways, right? So at every point of the journey, I had specific people that fit into this 5 buckets that were helping me through my journey. So for example, of course, my parents gave me the right foundation. They gave me the right education. So the encouragement and the support to even finish school and actually get a job. And then on the job, even before the job, I had mentors and I still have mentors. And so you have mentors that understand you. Mentors really do not necessarily need to be people that you know personally, but it could be nice if there are people that know you and you know them. So I had mentors that understood my strength and knew, oh, Funmito is good at this, is good at that. So they helped me even at the tough times to say, we recognize this in you, just keep going. You just keep believing in yourself, right? And then I had role models at the time when I started realizing that maybe this marketing or these gifts that I have could actually be termed marketing, right? I then started looking for people that were living the life that I wanted to live, or that had the kind of trajectory that I was hoping to get to, and then I started following their course. Okay, they did these certifications, they did this, okay, this is how they present themselves, this is the visibility journey that they've gone through. I understood that, right? But in all of this, you need a sponsor in the right organization. So in my situation, in this book, I had written about David Dan. David Dan at the time was the MD of CyberSoc Africa. All of the things that I was doing, I feel like David gave me the wings to fly. You need somebody in the room that, one, doesn't only see and acknowledge the work that you're doing, but is able to advocate for you when it matters. And I think for David, he had to say, I was employed for something entirely different. I was just the executive assistant at the time. But David's doors were always open for me to come in, that little girl hop in and say, hi, David, I'd like to say something. And, he's listening and he's like, yeah, okay, can I hear it? And he welcomed all of my crazy ideas. And he's like, you know what, go and do it. It's like just giving a kid candy. I'm like, don't disturb me, just go and do it. But with that leap, and me doing those things and doing it well, it gave him even more reasons to believe that this girl is not just an executive assistant. Like, we're underutilizing this person because she can be doing so much more, right? And then I got that. And of course, you then have coaches. Coaches are people that they might not necessarily, like, my coach wasn't even in marketing at all, but they had lived a successful career. So it was like, what are the things that I need to do? Stakeholder management, managing up, being visible, speaking about your work, the actual tactics that work across any career. I try to gather all these people together. And I think that's how, or that's the support system that I really used or helped me get to, where I got to in marketing, or where I'm getting to in marketing. Yeah.
That is a support system that I think is very powerful. And I think you've been able to really curate it to actually, bolster your success, to where you've gotten to today. So I'll just jump into this into this point, which is you mentioned that you stumbled upon marketing, and then along the way, of course, you fell hopelessly in love with it. Mentioned it somewhere in the book. So do you know the exact point? This is gonna be tricky, but do you know the exact point where you fell in love with it and then you just figured out, I don't think I'm no longer doing this, and I love what I'm doing now?
It's no, I don't remember knowing the exact point. I don't remember knowing the exact point. If anything, at the very beginning, I was more frustrated than in love with it. It grew over time. Frustrated because when and that's the thing, when people believe in you, when you've positioned yourself as someone that can be relied on, the bar is high. You can't drop the ball. And so when I was doing all of the little things, logo, branding, letterhead, it was sweet. I liked it because I also had a flair for design. I mean, I studied building technology, so I wasn't too far away from like designs and structures and look and feel. All of that looked good till David is like, okay, you know what? Go and draft me a marketing plan for the year. Huh? And then I'm like, okay, guy, it's nice to have the eye for detail, but I don't even know where to start from, right? And with that, you needed to now start drawing up what is the plan, overall plan for the year, what is the goal for us this year, what is the strategy, what are the objectives, and then what are the tasks that we have to do day in, day out to ensure that we are hitting all of these marks. That was super confusing. So I wouldn't say I fell in love at that point. But I think just go taking the journey step by step, right? And eventually getting to the point where you are not just being the one advocating for it, but one, you are now seeing results and everybody is seeing results. I think that motivation is what spurred my love for it. Because I'm like, oh, look at the effort that I put in, look at the results that it has generated. How much more if I placed more focus on this and I actually went deeper and did better and actually understood what I was doing? Like conversions came without even me knowing that it was conversion, right? I was like, oh yeah, I did this and look at how many people turned up. Ah, nice. But like at the time, it just felt like I was doing. But then I think in one meeting, my managers and then the management team started explaining the impact that the work that I had done had brought to the team. So it was B2B, purely B2B, right? And it's not that easy to get B2B clients, especially in the financial sector, that we were playing in. And so being able to connect with people on that front and then bring people in, and they are telling me this is the likely impact of the people that you've brought in just by doing XYZ, that started looking interesting. I started feeling like I was tying my efforts to the bottom line of the company, which is generating revenue, and knowing the impact that I could have, on a company, just tying it back to a career trajectory. For me, that was everything. And I think that's where the love really started building up for me. And then it's like I just took the hook and I ran with it, like ran like I was chasing after something. I'm still chasing. But yeah, I think that's where it started from. I started seeing the endless possibilities of where I could chat this career up onto, and I went for it.
Right. So you define marketing as the art and science of creating connections in the marketing professional book. A lot of operators today might, look at this different way and say that marketing is more like, data at scale. How do you hold these both positions?
Both sides are correct at the end of the day. But you cannot get the data without the connection. And that's the simple fact. Whatever data that you have to rely on started with the connections that you built, the people that used the product, the people that clicked connect, that subscribed, the users at the end of the day, right? And so while you want to strictly look at the data, who generated the data for you? People. So at the end of the day, marketing is really connections at scale. You get the connections, you scale it. The scale that you get from it is the data that you get. Now you analyze the data, you understand what worked and what didn't work, the human behavior, the psychology around it, and you take that feedback back to the people, and then they keep using it. So it's a big loop. And people would say, oh, well, we want to look at the data and iterate from the data. However, look at the side that is generating the data for you. If you understand the users a lot better and you connect to them a lot better and you can tie back your solution to their needs, so it doesn't feel like you're selling to them, but you're actually helping them, they will take action prompter, faster, and that gives you the data that you need to run with. So it's a loop. It's a chicken and egg situation. But
Exactly, and like even as you're mentioning about the loop now, I also recall that there's a part of the book where you also talked about the loop and how the marketing of today, which it is no longer just. I mean, some people still use the funnel, way of marketing, but we're moving towards the loop way of doing marketing now. How can what can you say to that direction of marketing that we're heading into now?
yeah. So you see, the funnel is it would remain a standard marketing principle, or would I say principle, or marketing funnel, right? But when you look at how the funnel is distributed, right? You have awareness, consideration, interest, yada yada yada, up until the part where you actually make the sale, right?
Yes.
The conversion. However, it doesn't end at conversion. As a matter of fact, if it ends at conversion, you failed. What you want to do with your conversion is that your conversion can eventually lead to a referral, right? And the referral then starts the loop all over again, right? So marketing is not really driven by that one conversion you get, but how many people convert but eventually become advocates for your solution, right? And then that it's like you're doing one work, but you have like 10,000 foot soldiers that are also helping you. So yes, it's good to go after that one person, but how many people do you want to go after and take them through all of your marketing funnel when you can take a group of people through the funnel? The funnel is still there, but it's the loop of how that funnel can go and start all over again. One, it could be with like the referral system. Two, it could be like you upselling these people. Three, it could be like the different other products that you have that they can then adopt, right? Cross-selling, all of that. So that loop is more useful when you can when you can get your customer into your own marketing loop, as against just going chatting them through that funnel. They give you the conversion and then it's dead. How can I get this person to become a current buyer? That's where the lifetime value is for you as a marketer, for you as a brand, you as a founder, business owner, etc.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the future is community. I love what
Yeah.
school is doing with school.com. I mean, also in the book you mentioned about companies like Canva, Notion, Dropbox. They did an amazing job with engaging that community. But what is one brand that you say that is like the golden standard for how they've worked with their community? Like you mentioned just now about having 10,000 soldiers on ground helping you do the
Mhm.
marketing. Like what is that one brand that you say people should look to get those hacks from on how they can do better with community-led growth?
It's a great question. I mean, Notion, Figma, you said Dropbox. Maybe I would even take it in a different direction. There's a creator that I know that is turning this community led thing into revenue for herself. And how she's doing it is she has a community of her own, but honestly, she's hacked this thing. So she has a community of her own, but she's also using this product, right, to be a lot more efficient, to churn out a lot more content and, just do her day to day, right? So there are two wrongs of it. One, she's using this product and then feeding that to the team to say, I'm using this product and I have this community that I can influence to use your product as well, right? So two, she's making money by her community using the product, but also she's making money from the brands because they are now bringing her on board as an influencer, or as, what do they call them?
Ambassador.
US UGC. Yeah.
User
So
generated
at the
content.
end of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
day, exactly. So at the end of the day, it's like you as a person, and that's how we should whip marketing into our lives, right? There are products that you use every day, right? What she's done is, I use this product every day. Is making me extra productive, or is giving me the results that I want. I have a ton of people that rely on me, that follow me, that believe in what I say and the things that I do as their Bible, quote and unquote. So why not help this company sell their product, get money from them, but also I have a referral code. So everybody from my community that uses the product as well puts money in my pocket, but also it makes 10,000 more people productive. What then happens is the 10,000 people that have been productive, they will go out as well and talk about it. So now maybe they don't go to the loop of getting the companies to get them, but what that has done is it has gotten more people aware. They start using it, start talking about how it's working for them, get more people aware. So it's just, they didn't have to sell anything. It's just, this works for me and I'm using it. And that's how referral really works. Someone gets into something, they see that it works for them, they start tooting the horn about it, and then the loop continues. Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this part on camera, but before, for anyone listening, before we started this call, Funmito was checking the camera and making sure that it was like perfect, like the microphone and everything. And and then I mean, I'm saying that to just get to this part where you mentioned that your Google manager mentioned something like, do it and then perfect it later, right? But that goes against you already, right? Like so how would you
Yeah.
where do you draw the line on that?
Hmm. Yeah. One, I think it depends on what we're trying to do at every point in time, right? What you're trying to do and the impact of what you're trying to do. There are some things that they are so fast paced, or it needs to be done so instantly that if you wait to perfect it, it's already too cold by the time you churn it out, right? So that wait that you think, I want to get it perfect. I mean, my mantra is nothing short of excellence. So most times I really want to do the things and ensure that it's done well and then put my best foot forward. But what I've realized is it's a trade-off, right? And you need to learn to live with the trade-off. It's like when product teams try to take things to market, right? There are some things that they're like, you know what? We need to take our time and get it right before we can take it to market. Well, there are some things that you're like, I don't have the time. The competitors are coming so fast at this thing. If we wait to perfect it, we've lost a chunk of the market already, right? So in this situation, the aim is to be fast, to iterate fast, to do things fast and keep it moving. However, there are some things when you're like, we need to wait and get it right first, right? I need to do everything, ensure that it is done the right way, and ensure that we are launching big and launching well. Because when we launch, if we don't get it right, the number of people that would go after that product, if there's an error there, word of mouth again goes by fast, right? So if there's an error, before we can get to rectify that error, we've already lost a chunk of the market. They're like, everybody's telling each other, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So the damage control that you're going to do on that situation is worse off than if you just waited to get it perfect. So I think it's an advice that could work in different ways. For example, you do a project at work, right? And you're like, I go on a business trip and I want to write the report. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait for that report to be done. I'll write everything. By the time you're bringing out that report, maybe the business has moved. It's no longer necessary. The end of the quarter has come. You have a new quarter. What you're chasing is different. Maybe your clients has even changed. The impact is not as solid as you've gone on that trip. You got unlocked this X number of revenue. You can talk about it in the moment when it is hot, So all of the other things, when you look at the trade-off of making it perfect, I mean, what do I want them to get? What am I trying to pass across? What's the value I'm trying to get? What's the impact of it? Would it be nicer to be in a nicely crafted email with all of the emojis, etc.? or a quick snippet about what I did, what we achieved, the results that it has got, and the impact. Everybody can read it. Everybody understand. It will be nicer as a newsletter, as an email, but can it also be done in 3 to 4 sentences, right? So I think it's understanding the impact of the assignment and then trying to fit it into, should I wait for it to be perfect, or should I just keep it going and free up time to be able to focus on other things?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you just need to understand the context of where to apply if you want to move it to perfection or you want to just do it instantly. Absolutely. So the David Down conversation, you drove to his apartment and then, after 2 years of smashing the targets, he told you that he couldn't give you that raise. What was the drive home like for you that day?
What was the drive home like? It's funny because I remember exactly what the drive home was like. I know exactly what I did on that drive home. It started with frustration, like no, it started with shock. Like, what did I just hear? Why exactly did he say that? How dare he say that? After giving my all, yada yada yada, there was that rage, that shock. Then there was the frustration part because you're feeling like I've put in my all into these. Like, I mean, this would have motivated me a lot more. Um, yeah, there was all of that. But I think the standout part of all of this was what I then did next. So after all of that emotion, I'm like, yeah, Funmito, you can stay here and complain, but the truth is, he taught you everything that you know. So what do you do from here? I told myself I'm gonna improve myself, devote myself to learning this craft that nobody after David Dan can ever give me that feedback again. So I took the power away from every other recruiter, every other employer, and put myself in the driver's seat. So I said, nobody's ever going to give me the feedback of, we taught you everything we know, so we cannot pay you what you deserve. And then subjecting myself to the rudiments, the principles, everything that I needed to learn to get better at this craft so that the results speak for itself. And after coming to that realization, on that same drive, I opened CIM's website and I said, how much is it? Like, I asked myself, what are the certifications that you need to do to start getting better, to be able to start speaking in marketing terms, to be able to actually stand as a marketing professional, not just by experience, like, oh, you've just done it, but by qualification, by certification, like all of that. And so I did a Google search and I realized that, oh, there's something called CIM. It's a Chartered Institute of Professional Marketing. It's the body. It's in the UK. I'm like, oh, but I'm in Nigeria. How do I get to do this? And then I found an institute called Simon Page. Simon Page is the body in Nigeria that actually tutors you and then helps you write the exam. So immediately I checked it. I'm like, okay, how much is it? At the time, it was really expensive. I think it was a little over 500,000. How much was I earning? But I told myself, you're going to do this exam. You're going to finish it at least the level that you were supposed to start with in 1 year, and we take you from there. And that's exactly what I did. So on that drive, it was a roller coaster of emotions. But if there's anything I'm happy that happened at the end of that drive is I knew what to start doing. I decided to take action, and I knew that the exact starting point to which the change was going to start from.
Amazing. Amazing. And then you walked away from a 10% share of equity at a Nigerian tech startup. I think what stood with me there was, like you said, you lost your peace. What did that mean for you exactly?
So I'm a Christian, right? And I'm very in tune with my intuition, my faith, the Holy Spirit, and how the Holy Spirit speaks to me and how it works, right? So the truth is, I can't take this out of my everyday and my everyday experience. And it's usually good to also understand the place of the Spirit in everything that you do, especially if you're a believer. And with things happening and things unfolding, it's very important as well to know when things are just happening and when it's a nudge, right? So what has happened is I was actually very excited about it. And many people have said, are you sure it was really just peace or was it cold feet? And I'll try to explain. I thought about it as well. I'm like, did I actually have cold feet? I think with every opportunity that you take, right, there's an element of having cold feet, especially if it's a terrain you've never dabbled into before. Also, realize that this is the first move in this capacity of a marketing professional. So I've been in the environment that has groomed me, that had nurtured me, that had accepted all of my mistakes and had context into my journey so they could give me grace, to taking up such a big role where they feel like you are the professional, so there wasn't any grace. So yes, you could say I had a tiny bit of cold feet, but I was ready to take it on, because if you know anything about me, I'm a go-getter. I decide that I want to do something, I see the opportunity, and I drive through. We keep learning on the way, right? Men or people, the people that I look up to don't wait to be ready. They go for it, and then we decide, we fine tune things on the way, right? So that mindset for me, and I went to Covenant University as well. If there's anything ingrained in you is possibility mentality. You can do it. What do you mean you cannot do it? What do you mean you cannot succeed at it? So if there was anything about cold feet, I don't think shying away from that opportunity was how cold feet would have manifested itself for me. Like, yeah, I could have had it, but it would have been countered immediately with, but you can do it. But this opportunity, like, and then at the time is now my husband, but like my best friend at the time is the person that would also tell you, we can do it. Like, let's go. What do you need to do to get better? The answer is not, can you do it? Is we're going to take up the opportunity and we'll get it. By the way, I digress a bit. The time I told you I was doing the marketing goal or the marketing objective for the year that David Dan gave me the assignment on, it was this my husband and I that sat down. He's not even in marketing, and we're trying to understand how to write a goal, where to start from. So you understand, in all of this group of people, I also had this support system. But going back to this particular opportunity, I'd had the meeting with, in the book, I spoke about having the meeting with, calling him Arrow, just for privacy, and then Onyeka Kuma, I'd spoken to all of them, and Onyeka had said, Funmito, I think you're the right candidate. He took this feedback back to Arrow, and Arrow was very happy. I was very happy talking to Arrow. I mean, he was very kind, angel investor. He knew a lot. So it was a kind of circle that I thought, for the next level of my career, this is such, an uplifting journey. But by the time the contract came, and I had few things for them to change in it, and I sent it back, in the 3 weeks delay, I completely lost my peace, in the sense of, it was a thing of, if you're going on this journey alone. I've not told you it's time to leave CyberSoc. So that was where it was for me. It was like, I wanted to leave, but the Holy Spirit, my intuition was like, for me to no, it's not time to leave CyberSoc. I'm not done with the assignment that you have to do in CyberSoc. So it was more like, I genuinely wanted to leave, because guess what? Equity, there was more money involved. Like, it was a new network being unleashed. Like, so many things that looked like I was going to be benefiting from leaving, but it was like, no, but it's not yet time. And I think the hardest part, because of how much I referenced Arrow, the hardest part was communicating that to him, like telling him, I genuinely, there's no, they didn't do anything to me. So there's nothing to even say, yeah, you did this or not. Like, it was so hard to come to someone that had been so gracious and coming to me and giving me such a great opportunity to say, I'm sorry, it looks juicy, but I'm not going to move ahead. And I have to say, I troubled him, because apart from the equity, when it came to like the salary, I pushed back. We thought about it. We had so many calls. No, take this. Okay, this is the benefit that you get. These are add-ons, so there was a lot of that back and forth that it looked like this person bent over forward too many times for me. And then, having done all of that, you come back and tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not moving ahead. It was really tough, but that was what the Holy Spirit had asked me of at the time, and I couldn't turn back. Yeah.
You quote Maya Angelou, that when she says, I have run a game on everybody, and they're going to find out, very soon. And this is about imposter syndrome, right? Because everyone
Yeah.
But it's gonna face that thing at some point in time, right? So my question then becomes: does it actually ever stop? Like, do you think you've gone past imposter syndrome now, or do you still have those episodes?
I don't, well, I'll speak for myself. I was going to say, I don't think anybody fully defeats imposter syndrome.
Mm,
It would always show up from time to time. I, for one, I won't say like I have moments where I don't experience it at all. I think the the way I've been able to combat it is really, there's the voice that comes to say, "Oh, are you good enough? Should you be here? Should you even be sitting at this table?" But I've developed myself to also be extremely self-aware and understand the value that I also bring to that same table. And so even when I feel sometimes that I'm intimidated by certain things, I counter it with the things that I also do well that they should be intimidated about. So it's intimidation meets intimidation. We balance each other and we kick it out of the room. Because at the end of the day, you could feel like, do I belong here? Do they belong to be sitting on this table with me? The things that I know, the value that I bring on, the energy, the concept that the me, the awesomeness that I bring, because sometimes we feel like it's only about the intellectual power. There are people that cannot do anything like you, like leading a meeting, for example, and being very upbeat and being able to control the room, get everyone to talk, to feel comfortable. Not everybody has that gift, right? So you might be looking, if you're not self-aware enough, you're looking at your gift and you're dumbing it down like, yeah, it's not too good. You're looking at another person's gift, and that's what happens with imposter syndrome. You're looking at every other person and magnifying the impact that they bring, and you keep diminishing yours. Why not look at every other person's impact, appreciate it and acknowledge it, but also say, while I realize that I'm in the midst of awesome people, they are also in the midst of an amazing person. So, and you can only do that by one, being self-aware, two, understanding the value that you bring to the table, and making the decision to influence everybody by this value. So I think it doesn't go away. It's how you handle it and how you can make it work for you. Because for me, when I feel like that, I go back to understand the value that everyone brings and I appreciate them for it, which is one thing that people love. People love when they are good at something and you come and acknowledge them for it. So when I do that to everybody, I actually diminish the imposter syndrome, because now they gravitate towards me as an ally, like someone they want to be like interacting with, because I make them feel good. And by making them feel good and them being close to me, they start teaching me more things. And so the people that I was looking at, I'm not good enough to sit with, I start learning from them. And so I even become as good as them in some cases, or quite knowledgeable in the things that they are knowledgeable about. So you see how slowly but surely the people that you thought, oh, they're too good for me to be sitting with them, we're all now too good to be sitting with each other, or we're all too good, so we're all sitting with each other. So there's nothing like you are better. It's like, how do we then collaborate to become better people, or to become extremely efficient people, as against a competition where it's them against me or me against them, or I've run them a fraud. Yeah.
amazing, amazing well put. Because at the end of the day, like what you said about self-awareness is very important. Like, I feel like that is one way to tackle the imposter syndrome, because if you know
Yeah.
what you are capable of and what you've achieved. I have this thing called like the cookie jar. I think I took that concept from David Goggins' book Can't Hurt Me. So he has like a list of things that you've achieved, and you just need to read it from time to time. I have it in my notes, so I just read through it, because sometimes the mind just forgets that it has achieved amazing things. And sometimes I open these notes and I'm like, I'm still wild, because you know
You're like,
it suggests that
I'm good.
but
I'm the
yeah,
T.
you know, like just you have to remind yourself that you have done great stuff, and just stay self-aware. And I also like what you said about um acknowledging the strengths and the capabilities of other people as well, and not from a point of competition, but from a point of learning from them. And yeah, I think that's powerful. Amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So this book comes at a moment when marketing as a professional, or marketing as a profession rather, is being challenged on every side. AI is doing the writing, attention fragmenting, channel splintering. Why is this the right time, or why do you think it's the right time or moment for marketers to go back to the basics of empathy and connecting with other people?
AI does not have empathy. And that's the thing I keep saying. AI would help you. You as the human, you're still the editor. AI is the writer, you're the editor. Right? So no matter what, AI cannot do it A to Z. As a matter of fact, if you're only churning out what AI is doing A to Z, then you're already failing. Because AI can help you along the journey, but you are extremely important because, as we said, talking about connection, right? AI does not understand human connection. It does not understand empathy at scale, right? It doesn't even understand empathy at all, right? So that empathetic feedback or observation that you can bring to the table and use, AI is just data. This. It doesn't bring the emotion. It doesn't tie back the emotion. And if you know anything about marketing now, it has really gone away from being extremely just data, being only numbers and data, to now being storytelling, to being carrying people along, to sharing, to being emotional, to being like along people's journey, right? And so no matter how much you want to use AI does not understand that emotion that you can put in a story that makes the person relate to it better. It would give you the story. It could actually try to give you an emotional story that could fit, but at the end of the day, AI is still a robot, right? So I always use the analogy that it's the writer, you always remain the editor. So you have to edit, you have to cut out, you have to churn, you have to understand what applies, what does not apply, and then you get the perfect story. So while it's here to make our lives easier, make us a lot more efficient, do the work to a certain extent, it doesn't understand all of the empathy that you can be bringing into that. And that empathy is actually what sells these days, because now direct selling is no longer working. It's now community, it's now storytelling, it's now helping, it's all of the things that we are weaving into the sales journey, not just saying this is a product, buy it, and this is the cost. As a matter of fact, then people start saying, okay, but B is cheaper, C is cheaper, D is cheaper, right? There are some people that no matter how much Apple is, they'll keep buying Apple because of the experience that they get from it. I can connect all my devices, phone, iPad, laptop, everything in one, right? So that seamless thing is what Apple is selling, and they don't even make noise. They don't shout about it. There's just a sophistication, a luxury that they are selling that you just key into, right? So we've moved from, and that's a feeling. So you understand, like AI would help you say, it will help you tell you all the ways that you can sell, for example, a MacBook, but it doesn't tell you that luxury lifestyle, that's panache that you feel when you see someone with these devices and how they move and how they do things. So at the end of the day, it does the writing, you do the editing, because you bring the emotion into the picture, and that's why you remain the human and AI remains the robot.
If someone took the book, The Marketing Professional, and they had 5 minutes to jump to a chapter or jump to a page and get the best out of it, like what page do you want? Not page, let's, because page would be very specific. What chapter do you want them to jump to, and what would you love for them to take away from that book?
I have to answer this question. What chapter? I mean, guys, all the chapters bang, if I do say so myself. But I think it would be the chapter on personal branding. Yeah, I think it's a chapter on personal branding, and I think I called it personal branding and identity. Let me find it. But anywho, it's the one on personal branding, and the reason why is in all of this, whether or not you are in marketing, you're in a different career, you are just, living your life and trying to get a paycheck in, the perception that people have about you is actually what helps you scale. So you could have everything up here, but if people have the wrong perception, you're not going to move forward. And there are people that they've been able to sell the right perception about themselves, but they are not even great, right? So at the end of the day, personal branding or branding is really perception. And you need to do the work of shaping the right perception about yourself and being visible with it. And then taking that to market, and it brings all of the different results, whether it's a job, it's a business, it's an opportunity, it ties back together. And when you look at personal branding, I always say there are three things to look at for: clarity, consistency, and authenticity. And I think I wrote it in the book as well. So clarity is you really need to know, what do I stand for? Who am I? What am I doing? What kind of results do I bring to the table? What kind of things do I execute? What do I show people that I excel at, and I'm better off for it? The second thing is be consistent. So it's not about just having that clarity and saying this is what I'm good at. It's also, how do I show up doing this thing and actually ensuring that the results tally every single day or every single month or through every project, right? So yes, I'm clear about what I do and the value that I bring. Am I able to sustain and show up consistently, with these values, and people can see it? Because then if you show up today, you don't show up tomorrow, and then you show up the right way the next day, there's a mismatch. People are like, maybe she's not really there, right? So do it, know what you bring to the table, and do it consistently. But the third thing is, you cannot do it consistently if you're not being yourself. Be authentic. Be authentic. So no matter how much you try to what's the word, to fake it, just as they would eventually find you out. So be authentic. Don't try to be another person, right? Just bring your own flavor to the table, and let people see that consistently, and be sure that this is who this person is. And at the end of the day, it would stand out in every facet of your life. So yeah, I would say the personal branding and identity chapter is what I think everyone should really read. And in this age and time where, in such a fast-paced generation, and such a social media world as well, it's only very important that everybody has their own footprint online, in the standard and systematic way, right? So I would say, put yourself out there the right way possible, keep doing what you need to do, and yeah, the sky is your limit, or maybe your starting point, depending on how you see it.
Let's dive in a little bit to where you are now, right? So what is the next chapter that you're writing now? Not in the book, but in your career today.
So I feel that the next chapter that I'm in it's a mix of depth and leadership. So it's a mix of, I don't know if to call it specialization and leadership. So the work that I do now is moved from being a lot more generalist. And even when I say generalist, I use the word quite loosely, because my years of being generalist, yes, they were there, but maybe in the last 4 or 5 years as well, I've really moved from being a generalist to being a specialist. But there's such a level that I'm trying to get to where you're dipping your root in a specific aspect, right? And then I'm going down to go up. I don't know how to explain it. So you know how they say, like, the trees first, get their roots deep in, and then they go up. So I want to get so deep in something that I'm well known for it. I've amassed so much results from that, brought so much, that then I'm only looking at the top. Like, I'm only then looking at leadership position, being a startup consultant over and over, because I do a bit of it now, but like doing it a lot more, being a non-executive director on boards, that kind of thing is what I want to do. But to do that, the way that I'm charting it, or the way that I've chosen to go through it now, is to deepen that route and then be able to call the shots on that level. So yeah, that's what it is.
Amazing, amazing. I like the idea of. I think it's the bamboo that it for the first 5 years, the roots keep growing, and then you see very little evidence of growth atop the soil, and then after like 10 years, it's like
Yeah.
takes off. But yeah, I think I
Yeah.
like that idea of depth and then going up. Amazing. Funmito, to bring this all in, right? Let's close this question, right? If the 23-year-old version of yourself, right, sitting in CyberSoc Africa right now, you are in the executive assistant role. You have no idea what was coming next. What is that one sentence that you would want her to hear?
I don't know if it's one sentence. I want her to hear so many things. Like, I want to chat to her and like just rage and rave and like talk about so many things. Well, in simple terms, yeah, in simple terms, I would say your unique catalyst is rooted in your identity. Like that thing that you need to spur yourself to where you would eventually get to, and where you would get, the top, where you keep looking at. It's really rooted in your identity, rooted in you being you. you know Being yourself is such a critical part of this journey. You are not looking at another person's journey or another person's path to become who you are. So that catalyst, that thing that you feel like needs to be there to get you to the top, is rooted in your identity, and living that life wholesomely through every season, right? So maybe one sentence would be: stay diligent, stay curious, stay consistent, right? And yeah, stay diligent, stay curious, stay consistent. That would be the sentence. And if I could maybe say more things to her, I'd say, girl, your journey eventually became one for the books. It became one for the books big time. You've always known it, yes, but you kept unfolding everything that you are now, everything that you're subjecting yourself to, and every opportunity that you're delivering on, built on the premise of who Funmito Osho eventually becomes or became. So the marketing professional is you, not a marketing professional, the marketing professional, as you've called yourself. And 10 years down the line, we're only just getting started, girl. So yeah, that's what I'll tell her.
Nothing but excellence. Always.
Nothing but excellence. Yeah. Always.
Funmito, it was an amazing, amazing conversation with you today. The book is amazing. The author is amazing. Thank you for being on the pod with us today. And yeah, guys, the book, I'm also going to link the where to get the book. I think in Nigeria you can get it on Stella, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, on if you're in Nigeria, you can pre-order on Seller, or order directly on Amazon. And this, and if you're in the diaspora, if you're in any other country, UK, US, you can just order directly on Amazon. And if you're in Ireland, you can send me a message directly on LinkedIn from Mr. Mark Andrew Offshore, or on Instagram at the marketing professional underscore, or at FMAK underscore. And I'll try to get you a signed copy delivered to you at the location. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, this has been amazing.
Thank you, Shubami, for having me on the podcast. Have a great one, guys.